now that we have a family show where we can talk about everything family, transformation, healing, challenges in the family, sisterhood. Wow, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the family, and that's why today we are back and we are the
Three Bs.
I'm super excited because I don't think we have had a show where we have three sisters who are almost identical and are friends. They're actually best friends. Am I your best friend?
Yes.
You delay to say am I your best friend? Okay, I'm kind of blackmailing them, but my name is
Bridget answered,
I know, my name is Brenda Linkiringi.
Bridget Kezabu.
Belinda Kasemie.
We are all Bs, that's why it's called
Three
Bs, and that's why we are excited to be sharing our experiences when it comes to family.
Yes.
Now, every time they see me, or they see Belinda, or they see Bridget, they ask us, they can say, are you guys related? Are you sisters? Are you triplets? Are you twins? And we're so tired of answering that question, so we just take it on and say, yes, we are triplets.
Yes.
But a lot of times, we have these conversations about, positions in the family. When you have siblings and you have, let's say, the firstborn, the secondborn, whatever position you take. And now, luckily for us, we've grown up in a very extended family. I think most of us African most African homes have grown up in like extended families, because you always either have a cousin or a niece or a nephew or someone who just somehow comes either from the village or somehow the family is always big. So we have that kind of family setting, and everyone has a position. And so today we just wanted to know, what's the experience that you get to have being in the position that you are in. I am a second last born.
Middle child,
like I'm a middle child. But I don't know, I've always been treated as a last born. I've always felt like I'm the last born. I've always just been the baby at home. And it also comes with its privileges. But now, we have some other people who might have a different story. So, ladies, please, tell me, in your positions, what's your experience being in that position that you've been, brought up in? Or that you were born into?
I'll start off. I'm the first girl. I'm not the first born. We have a boy before us, so we are three girls, and there's a boy before. So I'm the first girl, meaning these two followed me. And I guess many people out there who are in that position will relate to what I'm going to say. So when you're the first girl, it's like you have that. You're supposed to be the example. Somehow it falls on you. Even when the parents are experimenting on anything, you're the first one they will experiment on to see, does this work or not? Yes. So you'll find that even the parenting style that they did on you as the first is different from what they've done with the ones who follow you. It's so different. And then also I always had that, like when I was younger, because I'm the first girl, I was given responsibility to take care of them. So you find like my mom saying shower them, or sometimes now Belinda, who is the last born, Belinda started calling me mommy. You people started, we used to say Kamocha. So we are walking to Kamocha stage. I'm holding her. I was like, mama, and all the Kamocha stage men are saying, and then it started. Like at the same time you can't say much, but then it was like, oh my god.
Or now the time when she came to school, like when you're still in high school, and she was calling him mommy.
Yes, like maybe she actually gave birth.
Yeah, like all her classmates started asking her, so you have a child, like
so it's like that thing. Of course, somehow, even as you, it affects you. You don't be like a child.
Yeah.
You can't totally be a child. And then there are certain decisions that I couldn't, like I told you in the previous episode, like I had an opportunity to travel, but in the opportunity to travel, because the two that were complaining and saying, even as one trying, they're like, okay, Bridget, you're not going anymore. That was one of my saddest points of being your
and we
sister.
don't remember.
You owe me a trip.
Sorry, we owe you a trip. Let's make this money.
Yes. But anyway,
I also don't remember, by the way.
Yeah, so it's like a source of responsibility, and then you have to be like really like you have to make sure you're walking the right path. Books, you have to perform well. Oh, your sisters are looking up to you. And then to make it worse, in my case, in our family, the fact that our firstborn is an addict and was not exactly an example to the other siblings, I had to do that for them. And of course, I think I've done it very well.
Then
it was
I
pressure.
And a lot of pressure, yeah. And I feel like then you have to grow up. You can't afford to be a child like anyone else.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's really.
Yes. So that's why. Yeah.
So let me ask you,
how my position felt.
do you still feel that way? I mean, at what point did you stop feeling that being in that position as an older child and having all these younger sisters?
Does it
looking
remain?
at you? At what point does it stop feeling like it's responsibility?
The sense of responsibility doesn't end. However, for you to be like you're not under that pressure, like you can do
yourself,
and not under that pressure of like, oh my god, my parents expect me to help out and to be an example and all. That you guys, that really came like later, like after university.
Wow.
Or later when you're so grown.
Yes, when you're grown, like now you're free, and then you're like, okay, I can finally just take certain decisions without
thinking about what it means for the younger.
So that's how it was.
That was deep. And I don't think we've really had this conversation in this kind of way. Because we've never really taken time to actually, it's like it's always us talking about what it means to be the younger ones, and we've never really found out what it means for you.
Yeah, but that was it for me. And sometimes it would feel good.
What's the good side about that position?
Yes, sometimes it would feel good because maybe, for example, there are times when it would feel good, like maybe if I advise or if I guide you in a way that is good. Like for example, like when I got a boyfriend, I told my mom about having a boyfriend. So when my young sister got a boyfriend, I tried to tell mom. She asked me like, how did you do it, and also I felt like, so this was something that she felt was good. And then
that's a topic we need to have for the older ladies. And
and then also other things like maybe sometimes because you love your sisters, you like that they're coming to you, did this and so
I see.
But then when you grow up and you kind of balance, it also becomes even more fun.
Bill, it's your turn. You're the baby, you're the last born, and yet you always acted mature and you're always taking charge. So for you, what's your experience?
The last born.
Personally, I've never felt like a last born. I don't know. Like I always feel like I have babies around me that I have to take care of, especially Brenda Lynn. So I don't know how it feels, but I can tell you how other people tell me it should feel. So most people think last borns should have what they term chejo. Like they're supposed to be crybabies and everything. And me, I've never felt that way. I've always been self-driven. No, I always felt like I should not do what any negative thing that I've seen my older siblings do. And for me, it pushed me in a positive way.
So for me, as a middle child, this is my experience, which I didn't know until I grew up and I was doing some sort of self-analysis and trying to sort of discover who I am, why I behave the way I behave, some of the patterns that have been there like for a while, and so Belinda is like my twin, literally, because she's just 1 year younger than me. She was conceived when I was 3 months, So that was a good thing because when we were growing up, I used to, hang on to her a lot. We used to walk together. We did everything together. We literally had best friends. And sometimes I feel like Belinda and I are like soulmates, like we're so synchronized that if anything happens to me, she feels it before I know if I'm sick and stuff. And it was perfect, like you grow up with a best friend. But then at the same time, when I grew up and I was trying to, look through and assess certain patterns in my life, I went back to my childhood. And I remember that when you are still a baby and then another baby comes in and you just say 3 months and then she's pregnant and then 1 year, you automatically have to become a big girl. So I remember my mom would always say, no, leave the baby to do that, you're a big girl. But then I was exactly, like I was just 1 year older than her, but she'd always say, no, let the baby do this, you're older. And then when I was trying to do this assessment, I journal. That was my journal a lot. So I remember there's a memory that came back from childhood that really, struck me hard. And it was so deep, and I started crying because I remember when our mom would come back from work, she would take like a nap on her bed. And then I used to run so fast because I wanted to be at the front, because when you sleep right in front of her, then she gets to cuddle you, she gets to hold you. So I would run quickly because I knew if Belinda comes, they are chasing me away. So I would definitely run and go right in front and she would. Then Belinda would come and say, "No, Brenda's gone in my place. Me, I want to sleep there." And then my mom would be like, "You're a big girl, come to the back." And so that was a pattern throughout our childhood. We were best friends, but then there was always this competition, this need for attention, for love. And then I would end up being at the back and I'm holding on and I'm almost not even holding on, I'm almost falling. I would feel so bad. And so I grew up, I used to be a very angry child. Actually, if you remember, you guys used to say, I have so much anger. I remember my mom one time took me for prayers because I was so angry. And if I meet you to disturb me, like, why am I so angry? And when I grew up, I started saying, why was I so angry? And there was all that stuff. I used to be so angry. I used to do anything for attention. If it meant setting things on fire, I would do that. If it meant, and I used to try to get all this attention, and all I wanted was attention and care and love, because why? I have this lovely sister of mine who I love so much, that she took that away from me, and I just felt that my entire childhood was just me trying to get attention and love and sort of find my position. And so what also happened is I struggled a lot with self-esteem and confidence. I know that must be very surprising for people who know me. Now, everyone asks me, how are you so confident? How are you so this and that? But no one really knows that when I was younger, I struggled with self-esteem. And Belinda, she told you earlier, she's very confident. She was so confident, and I never ever understood. I used to wonder, how is she so confident? How is she so... She
was a go-getter. She goes for
she didn't care. And so in my analysis of why was this like this, I ended up realizing that attachment styles basically just took us to attachment styles. It took us to child spacing. You see,
and maybe Brenda, just to interrupt you a bit, and now for me, who was the big sister, Brenda was being like the one who's so angry and hard to deal with, and then I have Belinda who's like calm and what. So for me, who has the other responsibility that I told you about, your parent expects you to keep them in order. It was always easy for me to deal with Belinda because she'll make my work easier, because I also had my own stress having to keep you guys in line.
And you know what used to happen then? Basically, growing up, guys, and I know this must be the case for different families and extended families out there, or families right now, when you see your child and they're throwing tantrums. Now, me, all I wanted was attention and love, and it was taken out from me. And remember, Scal is already confident. So now I'm acting up, I'm throwing tantrums, and now everyone else just hates me. They don't get it. Everyone feels like, oh my God, that girl is so stubborn, she's headed, they used to call me trouble. And then the labeling would start. You see how it ends up affecting you? And then they would label me, they used to call me danger, trouble, they'll call me all these things that I just felt, and I'm starting to embrace all these things. I also didn't know at that time when you're young, you also don't know.
And also as who are young,
and then they're also young. And so they'll do all these things that they'll say, Belinda is the good girl, you're a bad girl. Why can't you be like this? The comparison thing, guys.
Parents out there.
It was more of the relatives. Actually, it was more of your siblings, by the way, not even the parents.
For families out there, I know you don't probably even pay attention to that, but there's just this temptation for you to just keep comparing
the big sisters and brothers.
Big brother, why can't you be like so and so? Why can't you be like your sister? Don't you see your sister is this? Don't you see your brother is this? And you just don't know how the whole comparison thing is affecting your child. And sometimes it's from your own siblings. Because it wasn't even my parents.
It was your siblings balancing.
To give me confidence. But the siblings kept, comparing me and Belinda. Why? Because we are almost the same age. So I reached a point and said, why do I even have to prove that I can be good? Let me just be a bad child. Actually, I made a choice to be a bad child. When I was growing up, I made a choice to be stubborn. I made a choice to be rebellious. Because I just felt that no matter what I do, nothing happened. So for me growing up, that was my experience. However, I
Fast
had fun because I was very stubborn in that my parents figured, okay, she'll do whatever she wants regardless. So they gave me that environment, unlike the rest where I could experiment. I could tell them I want to try kung fu, then I'd go. I want to try basketball, then I'd go. I want to try this.
And then also by the way, her character benefited us also sometimes, you guys.
Yeah.
You know how those days, like when the parents don't want you to watch TV, they close it in their room?
Yeah.
We had our Brenda who would just go through the window and she just goes and opens the door. And then we all get to watch TV.
Until
she would unlock, she would remain in their room. They
they also took advantage.
Also the other fun bit. Okay, yeah, we took advantage.
Well, I actually had a lot of fun because I was stubborn. But one time they locked us in the room because we didn't know that that changed the locks. And so we did the same thing, and then we opened and realized, okay, we are stuck. So it has a good side and a bad side. But this is the thing about attachment styles, yeah? Attachment styles basically means the relationship a child develops in the first 7 years of child development with their attachment figure. Now, attachment figure doesn't necessarily have to be your dad or your mom, but most times it's your dad or your mom, yeah?
Because they're your first.
Because they're your first attached people you interact with, your parental care, yeah? Attachment figure could be your grandma, your grandpa, your uncle, whoever is the first person you interact with in the first years of development for your childhood. Now, the first years of development for your childhood are definitely going to affect the way you relate, your relationships and
later on in life.
Yeah, and so I realized that it's very important, and maybe Bridget, who's in family planning, will elaborate on this. It's very important for you to space children. Why? It's not just because you're rushing to have many children. It's because you need to give each child in their first years of childhood enough time to get attached to you. Now, what are the advantages of having a secure, that now becomes a secure attachment style? The advantage is your child becomes easy to deal with, their relationships are better, they become confident, they're ready, they have felt the love.
They are not afraid.
They're not afraid to, Now, if you do not do that, you do not give each child enough time to develop a proper attachment style, do you know what happens? Then the child develops an insecure attachment style. There's like the good ones and the bad ones. Now the insecure ones come with like low self-confidence, the child is clingy, there's anger, you become needy, because all these things translate into your adulthood. It's like you're so needy, and now that we have twins in the crew, this also applies to twins. And most twins will never know how it affects them that there are two kids who have to get the same attention and same childhood attachment. There will always be either one who's more timid and another who's more confident. One who's, because one person is either getting more attention than the other and something like that. So at the end of the day, children are all blessings from God, thank God. But at the end of the day, you have to also think about that when you parenting, when you have children. And if you know that, let's say now like our mom, we asked her, you remember when you asked her, she said she got pregnant by, like she didn't expect to get a child. It wasn't planned for. And now there are so many parents out there where you get pregnant, you still have a young baby, then you get pregnant. And it's so confusing. And
you be out there and you're like Brenda, who you have a sibling who came right when you are still like a baby less than a year, and another came. So sometimes try and analyze yourself and think about your character, your personality. Sometimes it's because of that. So this is something that we need people out there to understand.
Read about attachment styles and stuff. So, but I love my sister because she's like my real best friend. She knows me inside
out. Like your twin. When you grow up, it becomes.
When you grow up, it doesn't.
But I think that's it since childhood.
But it affects your relationships with other people when you're older. So now if you don't go back to analyze that maybe this affected me in this way, then you fail to to deal with your issues, their patterns, because a lot of times you end up having esteem issues. And we'll talk about this when we talk about confidence and esteem.
But all factors constant. Other factors can also affect, but that's one.
Other factors, but I'm just saying when it comes to your position in the family, siblings, attachments,
this
can also affect you. And so for me that was my experience being that middle child. But I also like that eventually as I grew up, Belinda used to take me like a child. Up to now, she takes me like a child. She'd take care of me. She would, she'd choose me. It also creates a bond for you. Though I would advise parents out there, please, if you can, space your children, because the psychological
Because you
impact
think,
of that.
as a mother, you're thinking about yourself. Let me finish and
Let me
producing all the
finish
children one,
first.
but you're not thinking about the impact of the child.
I mean, Belle, did you ever notice anything for you while we were growing up? Like, what was your opinion? Because I felt like I was so needy, I always wanted to be around you. I don't know.
What was that?
I don't know. I just always felt like I always had your back.
Yeah.
Like at no
You always
point
felt like
did
you're the strong
I'm the
arm.
one taking the shot
Taking
for her.
the-
Yeah.
Which
So you
shouldn't
can
have felt
imagine,
that
yeah.
way
It would
because
have
as
been
the
the other-
older
because now
one,
for me,
yeah.
I was done taking the shot for you guys. You get it? So it was supposed to be like that.
Because she was very stubborn and I had to come in and then she would want me to be like her, but I can't. So.
Yeah.
But also it's
yeah,
also
growing up is
personality
nice.
of your children.
Yeah,
Different children have different personalities.
Yeah.
Amid this weather that spaced Brenda and I, Brenda has a different personality
Of course,
from me
yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in life, in society, there are always personalities that are more easily adaptable or lovable in a society or in a place. Now, especially when you're laid back, I was those disciplined children who anything, Belinda, bring a cup, I run and bring the cup. So definitely people will get to like that child more than Brenda who wants to. I mean, you tell her get off the TV and she'll first sit for 10 minutes, then she remembers to go and get the cup. So there's also that. You should understand
Also
the different personalities of your children. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so I
as
think,
you
yeah,
raise your
personality
children, you
yeah.
need to also put in.
I think it also goes back to a parent understanding
Yeah.
each child. Me, I thank God for our parents.
Yeah, your
because they
mom
took
and-
time to understand each one of us. Actually, I feel like my
They
mom
understood you
saved
even
me. Yeah, like if it wasn't for her, I'd probably be so far off. But sometimes
She
your
knew.
parents show you love, and when a parent understands you and you know that your parent understands you, there's a way you approach life differently. So you have to love your children. Yes, you have to be strict and stuff. Don't let them go off the rails. But it's very important for you to understand each one of us.
Because we are all
Each
different.
position of the child.
Yeah, since you're the family planning expert, what do you have to say about the whole age of spacing? How could that affect
In other ways apart from attachment style. Yeah.
Actually, guys, just before we even went to this, attachment styles are a very big topic. I just talked about the insecure and the secure one and how they could affect different people, but they affect people in different ways.
Yeah.
So, go read more about it. When we get another episode, we'll probably talk more about attachment styles and what people go through and how they affect their relationships in adulthood. But for now, we just want to talk about child spacing and positions in the family.
Yeah, and I think you've gotten a grip on how we felt in our different positions and how we worked around it. And if I'm to say, yes, I'm a family planning specialist, and I would like to say I always encourage moms to space their children. One, it's also good for you as a mom. Every time you're pregnant, it has a mental there's a mental toll on you and everything, even physically, everything. So you need time to recover and feel better about yourself, and then you can go another race of 9 months. And then also the child, Brenda has said it, but also just generally, even when it comes to
your
nutrition,
husband.
you need time for your child, breastfeed them enough time. You need to, the child needs to have mother-to-child bond, and if you hurry to conceive, then they are not going to have it. Yeah, so even sometimes the stress of the motherhood stress, you put it on the child because you've hurried to have two infants just close to each other.
You just can't give them the same amount of.
So I would advise that space. So this was our spacing, like we've said.
It was good by the way until
1 year, but you can see. But
we generally space.
The thing is, when we grew up,
we
all the
became
things
close.
didn't matter. We all became close, and now we all we actually talking about this from perspective, yes, from an informed perspective, where we are assessing and analyzing the different, different situations. But
that was our episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Catch us again next time on the 3Bs. We'll be probably showing live, and also check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We shall all be there. We're the 3Bs. This is Belinda,
Bridget,
Berdaline. Thank you,
We
guys.
remind the 3B.